Okay, next poem is Elegy for a Giant Tortoise. Okay, quickly look at it. Shh. Structurally, what do you see? Raise hand. Josh. 3 lines in every stanza. Good. Okay, are our lines the same length? Okay, let's try real quick. Hands up. Let others
pray for the passenger pigeon.
Got 11. Okay, next line.
The dodo, the whooping crane, the Eskimo.
11. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna guess the next one's probably not 11. All right, ready to go.
Everyone must specialize.
7.
Wait, is it 7?
We got 11, 11, 7.
That could be a pattern.
Okay, so it could be a pattern, correct? So we gotta do the next stanza. Ready?
I will confine myself to a meditation.
Is that 12?
Yeah.
Next line, let's try it again. Go.
Upon the giant tortoises.
8. Next line.
Withering finally on a remote island.
Okay, 12. Okay, do we have an actual pattern here?
No.
Okay, there's somewhere between 7 and 12 each line. Okay, here's a hint, folks. What's the definition of an elegy?
A type of lyrics.
Type of lyrical poem, usually meditates death, tribute to one who has recently died. Okay, it's usually written for who?
A dead person.
Dead loved one.
So every time a dead person dies, we all write our elegies. Okay, who do you think elegies are usually reserved for?
People in power.
People in power, people who are important, okay? Usually elegies are written for someone who's really famous, important, that type of thing, okay? Who is this elegy written to?
Tortoises.
Big turtles.
They need love too.
Okay. All right. So right off the bat, folks, the definition of an elegy doesn't quite fit this poem, and the rhyme scheme doesn't quite fit a poem. So we have some close things happening here, but not quite. What about rhyme scheme? Does pigeon rhyme with Eskimo?
No.
Does specialize rhyme with pigeon? By the way, if you miss those, we are in trouble. Does meditation rhyme with pigeon or Eskimo or specialize? Does tortoises rhyme with any of those? Folks, we don't have any rhymes here, do we? Eyes. Okay. All right, so we don't have a rhyme scheme. So does this look traditional by looking at it?
Yeah.
Kinda. The stanzas and the number of lines, those are traditional. Everything else, yeah. All right, let me read and you tell me what you hear. Ready? Let others pray for the passenger pigeon, the dodo, the whooping crane, the Eskimo. Everyone must specialize. I will confine myself to a meditation upon the giant tortoises, withering finally on a remote island. I concentrate in subway stations and parks. I can't quite see them. They move to the peripheries of my eyes, but on the last day they will be there. Already the event. Like a wave traveling shapes vision on the road where I stand, they will materialize, plodding past me in a straggling line, awkward without water, their small heads pondering from side to side, their useless armor sadder than tanks in history, and their clothes gaze ocean and sunlight paralyzed, lumbering up the steps, under the archways, toward the square glass altars, where the brittle gods are kept, the relics of what we have destroyed, our holy and obsolete symbols. Okay, let's break it down. First stanza is talking about what? Joanna. Passenger pigeon and whooping cranes. What are those? Extinct animals. Okay. By the way, fun fact, last passenger pigeon was killed by a boy on his birthday. He got an air rifle for his birthday, so he went outside, shot the first bird he saw. That was the last passenger pigeon.
Dang, was it you?
No.
I think he's.
Okay, all right. So whooping crane, also extinct. Why is Eskimo thrown in there? Are Eskimos extinct?
No, but they will.
What?
I'm saying,
You like kill them
their
for
culture and their like.
Josh, say it.
modern.
Okay, Josh, say it again real quick.
Like their culture in modern times.
Okay, so they've been indoctrinated into our culture and what was so a lot of like the Eskimo traditions have went away. Okay, a lot of Native American traditions went when I say went away, I mean were taken from them, forced from them. Okay. Next, I will confine myself to meditation upon the giant tortoises withering finally on a remote island. So where are the giant tortoises?
Giant remote island.
Remote island somewhere. What's happening to them? What's withering mean? Slowly dying off. I concentrate in my subway stations and parks. I can't quite see them. They move in the peripheries of my eyes. So where is the author at? So are they physically watching the tortoises? Okay. They know that they're dying, but yet they're in the city. Okay. But on the last days, they will be there. Already, the event, like a wave traveling, shapes vision. On the road where I stand, they will materialize, plodding past me in a straggling line, awkward without water. So what is she saying is going to appear? What's the last day? The day they become extinct. When that last turtle dies, they're magically going to appear right here in this city, walking down this road. On the road where I stand, they'll materialize. Their small heads pondering from side to side. Their useless armor, sadder than tanks in history. What do those last two lines mean?
Their armor.
Okay, their shells have protected them literally for thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. Turtles have used their shells to protect themselves. And it's worked until humans, okay? Another fun fact, ready. Charles Darwin, you ever heard of Charles Darwin?
Yep.
What do you write?
Wasn't
Theory
it
of
like
Darwinism. Something like that.
Okay. His theory of evolution, you've heard of that, where he said the strongest survive. I just butchered that. Yes, something like that. Survival of the fittest, that's it. Okay. And so when he was doing his research, he came across these islands and there's these giant tortoises. And so they crossed these islands and there was lots of animals on the outside of the island. To cross over the island, it was like a desert. And so they cross over it. And on the travel, they'd get thirsty. Guess where they got their water from? They'd jump on top of these giant turtles and you'd get a knife and you'd slit their throat. You'd turn them over and you'd cut them open. And there was a chunk of their intestine that you could drink that wasn't too much urine. So like you could take it like a drinking fountain. So they'd tie it off and they'd drink the intestines of these giant tortoises. And so they explained like, and then you could tell how good the meat was. You get on them and you cut right underneath their tail and you'd measure how much fat there was. If there's enough fat, then it was a good eating turtle. Okay, but once again, here is someone who we consider to be like a scientist who used these animals as a drinking fountain. Turtle Gatorade. Okay, he also wrote a description about how there was these finches, because they'd never seen human beings before. You could sit next to a pool of water with a stick and they'd land, you could hit it and kill it. Next one, hit and kill. He said within an hour, you'd have a big, gigantic pile of finches. You could just sit there all day long killing them and they just keep showing up because they'd never seen a human before, so they weren't scared of humans. The lizards on the island, guess what? They were never afraid of humans. You could walk up and pet these lizards. When they jumped in the water, they were scared because what was in the water? Predators that could eat them. But these lizards that were huge had never ever had a predator larger than them that ever attacked them on land. So on land, they were safe. But when they got in the water, they'd jump in, get their food, and get out really quick because they were scared of stuff in the water. But the humans could walk right up to them and kill them and no problem. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just had a nice little side story about turtles being used as drinking fountains. Okay. Okay, so their armor is like a tank. Like, are tanks effective anymore? Okay, if you have the right anti-tank device, a single person can take out a tank that costs multi-millions of dollars with an entire tank crew in a heartbeat. Okay, the big battleships that were gonna that won World War I and World War II became obsolete because one guy in an airplane filled with TNT could crash at the waterline and sink a battleship. So battleships that were hundreds of millions of dollars and had thousands of people on it could be taken down by one guy in an airplane with some TNT. Or one torpedo could take out a gigantic battleship with hundreds of guns on it, right? It just became obsolete. And it's the same thing with the turtle. Their shells no longer protect them. Okay, second to last stanza. In their closed gaze, ocean and sunlight paralyzed, lumbering up the steps, under the archways, towards the square glass altars. Where does it have the turtles going? So where do you find square glass altars? Churches. So like they're ascending almost like towards heaven, these magical ghost turtles. Where the brittle gods are kept, the relics of what we have destroyed are holy and obsolete symbols. Okay. So the definition of an elegy is something written to something that's died. Does it check that box? Okay. In the history of elegies, probably no one's ever written an elegy to giant tortoises. Okay. So that's why this is slightly non-traditional, but yet still following a traditional format. So I said we've got like E. Cummins, like no rules whatsoever. We've got like Shakespeare with really formal rules. And then we've got some authors that are going to be right in the middle. Okay. Your homework is to read the last one. It's called Today by Billy Collins. It's really an upbeat, happy kind of. Like, no, it is. Like, not sarcasm. This is actually an upbeat. Okay?